American Samoa is a United States territory comprised of 7 islands, located 2,300 miles southwest of Hawaii and 1,600 miles northeast of the northern tip of New Zealand. The islands enjoy the benefits of a year-round moderate climate combined with 200 inches of rainfall. The Polynesians who populate these islands are both friendly and proud. Yet with the end of isolation has come a desire to know and understand what is beyond the horizon.
Hello. Say, there.
In American Samoa, our major task is the teaching of English as an academic language. An oral emphasis is based on a structural approach, in which the sentence pattern is the unit of instruction. These patterns follow a planned progression, sequential in development and difficulty. Practice continues until the patterns become automatic and habitual. Patterns become more complex as students complete elementary school. Structural drills are preceded by drills which demonstrate the anatomy of sound: tongue, teeth, lips, and breath. Intonations and rhythms which characterize the English language must also become habit. An orderly progression, a rationing of difficulty, brings meaning and understanding to the sounds and patterns that have become habit.
There are teeth.
There are teeth.
There are teeth in there.
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 Teeth.
Teeth.
Tooths.
Tooth.
The.
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 There.
There.
That.
That.
This.
This.
That.
That.
There.
There.
This.
This.
That.
That.
Thing.
Thing.
Think.
Think.
Students are active participants in the television portion of the lesson. They respond to drills and questions from the television teacher.
There are teeth in there.
Look at this tomato. Look at this tomato. It's round. It's round. This tomato's round. It's round. This tomato's round. You say, that tomato's round. Round. You say, that tomato's round.
That tomato's round.
That tomato's round.
That tomato's round. That tomato's round.
That tomato's round.
That tomato's round.
Yes, this tomato's round. It's round. This marble's round.
Through the controlled use of English in the teaching of
marble's
content, conceptual learning becomes a reality.
Round. Marble. Listen. Oh, marble. You say marble.
Marble.
You say, that's a marble. Marble. That's a marble.
That's a marble.
That's a marble.
That's a marble.
Marble. Oh, that's a marble.
That's a marble. That's a marble.
Literacy in a second or foreign language is more readily achieved when it is built upon a base of literacy in the native language. The Samoan child reads first, therefore, in Samoan, beginning with experiences that are part of his daily life. Later, as he masters oral English, he is able to transfer this process of reading to his second language. Occasionally, students come to visit the television teacher during a lesson.
Tuna sina fata, ole fato ama, toli mai ni popo amai mai ni fai pala, na mai ni fai matua, e fai ai le saka, ina ai le sua, ia male tunu paa. Tuna sina fata, ole fato anga, toli mani popo amai mani fai wala, ta mai ni fai matua, e fai ai le saka, ina ai le sua, ia male tunu paa.
Talofa te maiti? Ya, te imilan nei a, te imilan nei o tatou le sona, ma o tatou le sona le te maiti. O le mataulia le i tatou o upu e tai folinga whaatasi, e tai tutusa foi lo latou whaaleonga. Ma, ia mawhai foi o na tatou mataulia latou i te tono whasi foi upu, po o ni foi upu. O le te imilan nei latou wapa, ai atu nei la lau papa, ini upu o whiwhilia o lea i tu a inga. Vai le lei, vai le tamaiti, ya, vai I vaenga nei.
In this system, the television portion of the lesson ranges from 20 to 35% of the school day, according to the maturity level and concentration span of the child's age group. The plan includes the preparation of the learner, the presentation of the main body of the idea, the concept, the demonstration, the visualization, and all of the reinforcement activities which allow the student an opportunity to participate and to identify with the learning. Under the supervision of the principal, the classroom teacher learns as he teaches. This learning is the result of studying the printed lesson plan and supporting materials designed at the Instructional Resources Center. The teacher also learns by observing the television portion of the lesson with the students. Further, the classroom teacher is given daily in-service training by his principal and by other staff members on television at the close of the school day. It takes a highly coordinated effort to provide for learning in American Samoa. The process begins with a complete review of the curriculum during the summer months. Television teachers, research teachers, supervisors, and administrators work together to evaluate the level of performance by Samoan students. Techniques of visual reinforcement also must be evaluated in an instructional system which makes maximum use of television. Television teachers and producer-directors discuss the various methods of visualizing concepts, such as live demonstrations, single-concept film clips, still photographs, models, properties, and artwork. A constant effort is made to relate the curriculum to the Samoan culture. There are daily reminders that many objects common to us are unknown to the Samoan student. The effect of this effort is evident throughout the system.
Look. What's this? Yes, it's a set of 3. It's a set of 3 bananas. A set of 3 and one more makes a set of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. A set of 4. You say, please. 3 and one more makes a set of 4. 3 and one more makes a set of 4. Look, that's a set of 4. This is numeral 4. Numeral 4. Look. Look, I'm making numeral 4.
I have something in my hand. I have something in my hand. I have nothing in my hand. Something, nothing. What have I in my hand? I have something in my hand. What's in my hand? I have nothing in my hand. Say, you have nothing in your hand. Something. I have something in my glass. Say, you have something in your glass.
Now we know our new words. We can say our new words. Let's read them together. Graze, grazed, grazing. What does our root word graze mean? Let's use the word in a sentence. Read the first sentence with me. The cattle graze. Read this sentence with me. The cattle eat grass. Graze means to eat grass. Cattle eat grass. Cattle graze. We can see some cattle. We can watch this cow graze. The cow is grazing. You say, the cow is grazing. The cow grazes. What did the cow do? The cow grazed.
This is the third stage of a butterfly. Do you remember its name?
In keeping with the policy of teaching Samoans to teach themselves, qualified Samoans are being trained to teach on television as well as in the classroom.
Now we have learned about the egg, the larva, and the pupa. Let's take a look at the last stage of a butterfly. See if you remember its name. Do you remember its name? Did you say it's adult? Right. That is an adult butterfly, the fourth stage of a butterfly. Now we have learned about the egg, the larva, the pupa, and the adult. Let's look at the stages of a butterfly in a different way, shall we? Every butterfly goes through 4 stages in its life. A butterfly begins life as an egg. The female lays the eggs on a plant that will serve as food for the young. In a few days, the larva begins to form. The larva, which is sometimes called caterpillar, has a head and a body made up of 12 segments. Ometa os segments, o vahenga nais fulmalua or caterpillar. The caterpillar spends its life eating and growing. The skin does not grow. As the caterpillar gets larger, the skin of the caterpillar splits and comes.
Here is an important part of the social studies program in the upper elementary and lower secondary schools. This type of lesson is offered twice a week to broaden the students' understanding of Samoan culture and language. These lessons alternate with social studies in English.
Taumtene, ia le mea siri lava o loo tu mau le soifua ma le ola ia I tātou te moaile nei tā fau, po le nei as fau, ia masalafoi o loo manuia le sunga le li whaiaonga loo tō mafuta mwha whengai as uma. Ia le tātou le sona fo nāna te atu talua I nei ta ua o le whailau lau. Ia tautua nā ma oe le whaitau wina o le pepa fo nā lo ia le mata upo taun tātou whaitau wina. Whaitau ia le leia. Tu mana vanga ea ma whaitau pe o na whaatonu tua I tātou nus pepa. Ia le sunga le whaiaonga na te tofia lava se whaitau mai ai am whaitau taito tasi. Ma ia whaitau whaafetaui pe o na whaatonu wail tātou le sonal na.
Now remember, boys and girls, we use lines on maps and globes to help us find places. Some of these lines are east and west lines. They go east and west. We call these lines parallels, remember? Can you remember another name for parallels? We call them lines of latitude, right. Lines of latitude. Those are parallels. All right? Some of these lines are not east and west lines. They are north and south, like this. We have a name for north and south lines, too. We talked about this word. We called it meridians. A meridian is a north and south line, but there's another name. A meridian is a line of longitude. Very good. Okay, we use lines of latitude and lines of longitude to find places on maps and globes. Remember, a map is a picture. It's a picture of a very special part of the earth. I have a picture. I'll put it right here. I have a picture of me. We can use a picture, and we can use the lines on a picture to find things on a picture. Now look, see the lines? You can see the line marked 0, that's the equator, and the prime meridian that we talked about. Now, look at my ear. Can you see my ear in the picture? My ear is 20 degrees west of the prime meridian. It's 20 degrees west. Can you find that in the picture? Good. Now, look at my nose. My nose is 10 degrees south of the equator. It's number 10, and it's south of the 0. The 0 is the equator. Now, can you see where the hair starts on my forehead? That's 10 degrees latitude. 10 degrees north latitude, because it's north of the equator. Good. All right, now, we used lines to find places on this picture of me. And a picture is like a map, because a map is a picture of a part of the earth. Let's use lines to find places on a map of the world. We'll use lines of latitude and longitude.
The Department of Education of American Samoa provides instruction in 24 consolidated elementary schools and 4 high schools. The schools are located on the main island of Tutuila and the nearby Manua group of islands. Competency in English is still the main goal, so the Pittman system of oral English drill is continued.
Let's try that. How often do you go to town? I sometimes go to town. Good. Next question. How often do you go to the movies? Good. How often do you go to China? Next question. How often do you eat? Sometimes we all eat too frequently, don't we? Good. Last question. How often do you go to school?
As pupils demonstrate greater ability to use and comprehend English, standards are raised and the difficulty of the specially prepared materials in social studies, science, and mathematics is increased.
Hello. We've been talking about ratio. We've been talking about ratio and how we can use it to solve problems. We said that we could use ratios to solve problems, but we haven't said how. That's the thing that we want to talk about today. Before we start that, though, I'd like to review for a minute. I'd like to talk about 2 groups. One group has 2 boys in it. Another group has 4 girls. This is one group, and this is another. I want to compare these 2 groups. I want to make a ratio of the number of boys to the number of girls. How can I do it? I know that I can write this ratio 2 ways. What's one way of writing it? 2 to 4. That's one way. Can you think of another way of writing it? 1 to 2. Good. This is one way of writing the ratio of the number of boys to girls. This is another way of writing the ratio of the number of boys to girls. Let me write them a different way. 1 to 2, 2 to 4. Are these two ratios things that name the same thing? Yes. So let's put an equal sign between them. And what have I made? I've made a proportion. I've made a proportion. That's a hard word. I'll say it and you say it after me. Proportion.
Here are 3 arthropods that are very common in Samoa. Let's look down at them. First is one of the crabs. Look at the crab as it moves its mouth. See? It can move. It has a jointed appendage. The first characteristic. It can move its claws or pinchers. Perhaps it will. This one shows jointed appendages. It certainly shows us the hard shell, the hard outside skeleton that it has. And if we turn it over, if I'm lucky, we can see the separate segments in its body. That's right, this crab is alive. I'll put it back in the water in just a few minutes. Now, come over here.
Well then, what is an election? An election really is when we pick people to represent us. We can't all go to the legislative committees, go to our phono. We must select people to represent us. And when we do, we call this an election. An election. Election is when we pick people to represent us. Now, in November of this year, we had an election. We elected members of the House of Representatives. Here's a polling place in Nu'u'uli. The people from this district, people who live in and around Nu'u'uli, elected representatives. Somebody to represent them at the phono. Somebody to make their laws. Now, how did they do this? Here's a woman who is going to vote. She has decided who she believes will do the best job in representing her and making laws for the people of American Samoa. So she filled out her secret ballot. This man now will identify himself to the election officials, give his name, and then he will get his secret ballot.
Classes numbering 75 to 200 pupils receive instruction by television in shop and home economics, as well as in the 4 major subjects.
Hello, boys. Today we're going to continue building our form for our foundation. I'd like you to take out the worksheet that you got yesterday that shows a picture of the foundation. Excuse me, a picture of the form. Take out the worksheet that shows this picture. Yesterday, I described to you the sheeting. It was 2 1x12s fastened together with battens and attached at the bottom to a piece of 2x4 called the shoe. The shoe gives us strength. Then I used a spirit level to make sure that our forms were straight and level. As you can see, I've done a lot of work since you were here yesterday. I've made sure that all four sides were level, and I have also installed the spreader and the tie wire. Let me show you how it's done, and I will install one more. First, let's look at the one that's here. This is the spreader. Yesterday, I told you how wide our foundation was going to be. Can you remember how many inches that was? Correct, 8 inches. How long do you think this spreader is? 8 inches, correct. Holding the spreader in place is a piece of soft iron wire. It's called tie wire, and it pulls together the two sides of the form and holds the distance equal at 8 inches. We install these by first drilling 2 holes on either side of our form for the foundation.
Before we stitch, we will remove the pins from the blouse. We do not want to stitch over the pins. First, as I begin stitching, I need to check that I have enough thread through the needle. Make sure that your thread runs to the back of the machine. Put the needle down in the fabric first, lower your presser bar, and then you may start the machine easily with the hand wheel. You may reverse on the machine by back stitching. Use your stitch indicator to back stitch. Return the stitch regulator to the right place.
In order to ensure a more comprehensive educational experience for all pupils, a number of electives, clubs, and activities are provided. Advanced building skills training, vocational agriculture, and office practice are available to selected pupils. The cooperative design for instruction in American Samoa is a reality. Professional educators are teaching Samoans to teach themselves. Samoans are being placed in positions of increased responsibility in their Department of Education. The Samoan children are learning English and a basic concept-oriented curriculum. Not only do the children benefit, adults are also provided with instruction and entertainment during the evening program schedule, as evidenced by these examples of locally produced programs.
Tau e maua mai nei ua mea le fua le tele nei waa e maua mai ua mea la whaatawina maona tau tonga uma e tu se 3 biliona ta la e leo le miliona biliona.
It was expected that the Queen Mary would be withdrawn from service in October, but news that the Elizabeth, here entering her New York pier, would also be withdrawn came as a surprise to almost everyone. The Elizabeth's maiden voyage in 1940 was a secret dash across the Atlantic to escape German bombers. Both she and the Queen Mary spent the war years as troop ships, dodging German submarines and airplanes across the Atlantic. The Elizabeth will make her last run between New York and England in October of 1968.
Ai, afa pe fea le tele o le laufanua e le i totoina pe whatoaina mo ni fua o ngā e tā mafa. Po lau le ele fo i ua uma o na whatoaina, ai le o le lei o na teuteuina.
Ioi, a wha pe fea le laufanua o lo tātou atunuu e le o wha o ngā ina e totoaini mea tā mafa. Io na po ana mua, na ai matau mawhai lo tātou atunuu I fua o le ele. O fua o whaatoanga ma whingota ese o le sami sa wha moe moe iai o tātou tua a. Iau ngā tūpulanga ma tūpulanga wasanga mai a Pauli, Sa le ai se manatu e maua mai fafo se fesoasoani I le tausinga o le soifua.
High officials of the government are shaking hands with the president. The greeting of Talofa, the friendly greeting of the Samoan people, is extended to the president and his wife. President Johnson is receiving many ulas. This is the sign of alofa, or the sign of love from the Samoan people.
Eo ngā vaila au. Ua fofua ina fisosuana ia oe. E wha te ailo ngase ai petai. E iu ina tutupu mai ai whalawelawe pe a wha au ngā malele wha ai tete. E mawhai foi, ona maliu ai lava. O le tō telo lātou wa ona nā I vaila au o ta maiti lava.
E a oine fo mai tu ai ngā iwi. Ese, o tau tanga iwi. O am salo o iwi o le tangata, se lau mo le lua pe se lau mo le ono, o tau whaisi ngalo o le fo yasu. A o tau tanga ai. So si tu ai ngā omo, po le oso, e iai ngoa. Po le pū, po le omo, e tofu a maunga ingoa. O le whaingi tali o le whaafoma, tau tanga iai. Ia, o tau tanga ia Mrs. Mavis, le I. O tau tanga I le mama, pe ono ta uatu. Ia o le fō mai, tō tonga o le tangata.
End of the year, and the demands on these books are enormous at the moment. They're all being prepared in Sydney and sent out in great numbers to various territories where English is taught.
And am I correct in the assumption that materials, educational materials, like Miss Tate's books that are coordinated with or actually articulate the methods that Mr. Pittman teaches us?
Au te na fo I ta watu o na o lo yele sunga fo nei Pittman mato te lo de ngata na mai I le komisi nei o to I le Pacifica Saute ma e o mato a o mo I fa mai no TV o stanga ta nga lava le nei tanga to Pittman I leo na o mai nei e o tali mai fo ia sunga ia Sir Gawain ioi.
How is this massive job of education accomplished? With a team of people and electronics. 180 television lessons a week during the 36 weeks of the school year. American television teachers, Samoan television teachers, research teachers, producer directors, engineers, indigenous cameramen and technicians, artists, photographers, many others, a total of 677 people. 4 studios, 8 cameras, 10 videotape recorders, 6 VHF television channels. Yes, with people and electronics, in Samoa we are attempting to solve an educational problem in a developing culture for which up to this time there has been no satisfactory solution. With the continuing financial support and sympathetic understanding of the Governor of American Samoa and the Congress of the United States, the educational team of the Department of Education of the Government of American Samoa is convinced that the new generation of Samoans can reach the level of educational achievement that will enable them to live successfully as fully accepted members of our world society.